What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream. Good to be back, people. Couple days off, family time and all that, but we're back, people. And Airpod Albert, it is your time. You are Pep Guardiola's worst nightmare for now, so it's only right we started off the show with Albert. Man like Airpod Albert, man said Uncle Albert's red and white army. I'm telling you, Pep's worst nightmare. If Airpod Albert beats Pep Guardiola, I mean, geez, we might have to give away some AirPods. I don't know, we do something, but hey, can you imagine? The guy we've been taking the mick out of for so long comes and beats Pep Guardiola. But big up to everyone in the chat. Appreciate you tuning in. Martin, Craig, all of you people. Evan, Angel, Anthony, all the usual suspects. Looking forward to this one. And yeah, can Airpod Albert get the better of a certain Pep Guardiola this Saturday? As we all know, you can see in the headline, and we'll speak about it shortly, Mikel Arteta will not be in the dugout for the game against Manchester City on New Year's Day due to the fact he has tested positive with the virus, and, you know, he's going to have to isolate for 7 days. I'm not sure if he'll be back actually for the next game. We play Liverpool next week. It depends which day he was tested. Yeah, I wonder what he's listening to. What is he listening to in the AirPods, people? They need to ask him that in the press conference. Big up Luke, who said, Curtis, big up, man. Keep up the great content. Hope you had a great Christmas. Can't complain, man, in this crazy time. Free hit with Albert coming in. Do you know what? Somebody even messaged me saying, I mean, it's wrong. I know it's wrong. But people was like, oh, Arteta's done it on purpose so that, you know, he doesn't have to manage against Pep. You know, I know we shouldn't joke about things like that, but, you know, I'm sure he'll be giving instructions from home. You know, I don't think he'll be picking the team. He'll be still saying what training session he wants them to do. I believe he did train for the first couple of days anyway of this week. TM101, Albert listening to Gucci Mane. Oh, my days. It's crazy. Big C, did you see Daily Mail used your AirPod Albert saying in their article? It's crazy, isn't it? Do you know what? I saw that in a different newspaper as well. People are running with this AirPod Albert thing. I think it's out there now, man. Arsenal and conspiracies, I'm telling you. We are one of them teams, aren't we? No, I'm not going to the game. I'm not going. Like I said, man, the ticket prices are embarrassing. I think at the moment the cheapest tickets, decent seats, £164 to go and watch Arsenal play on New Year's Day. The trains are not running much because it's New Year's Day. Parking is expensive. I mean, you're looking probably £250 to go and watch that game with travel, food. I'm sorry, mate, but that's just ridiculous. Some of the tickets were £320. I mean, pandemic. Listen, I know football clubs, it's a business. They got to make money. I understand it. I know I always say, you know, business, they have to make money. I understand. But sometimes, surely a football club has to think about the fans. The fans are the blood of any football club. They keep a football club, you know, ticking over day after day, week after week. £300 plus for a ticket. Cheap tickets, £164. On New Year's Day with limited travel, for me, is an absolute, you know, disgrace. An absolute disgrace. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw empty seats, genuinely, because I believe that a lot of those tickets are on general sale. Just as you say that, Abdullah, I have got a preview with Big Steve tomorrow. We're doing it in the morning, so it's going to be pre-recorded, and I'll put it up in the afternoon. So, yeah, you will have a Man City preview with Big Steve tomorrow. We're going to record that in the morning. Talk is Cheap will be out tomorrow morning as well, and I'll be back to 2 p.m. tomorrow, people. I know it's been a little bit all over the place over the festive period. I'll be back to 2 p.m. tomorrow, and then obviously we got the watch-along on New Year's Day. I mean, that's going to be an absolute crazy game. 12:30 kickoff as well. There may be a few hangovers in that one as well. So, yeah, look out for the content coming up. Big up to Big Steve. I see he did a good show with Robbie as well. And I think, yeah, Emmanuel said, Big Steve says City are bigger than Arsenal. They're not. They're not. But don't get me wrong, and I always say this, and I'm honest. You know me, people. I'm very honest and balanced, I hope, when it comes to Arsenal. You can't talk about history for too long. History will wear out eventually. So at the moment, I would say Arsenal are a bigger club than Manchester City. But the reality is also this. A lot of modern day players, especially younger players, will go to a more successful, better run club than a bigger club. If you're Mbappe now and you can go to Man City or Arsenal, you're going to Manchester City because they're a better team, better training ground, better manager, more money, more success. These new school players don't care about the trophies in the cabinet from years ago and the statues outside the ground. So to me, Arsenal are a bigger football club than Manchester City. That's 100%. But that will only take you so far. That will only take you so far, and eventually that history will be overturned. You know, if you give it another 10 years and Manchester City win 3 Champions Leagues and another 4 Premier Leagues and 3 FA Cups, 3 League Cups, and they've got statues all over the place and, you know, people coming from all around the world to go and watch Man City, all of a sudden that history's done. That history goes out the window. These new players don't care about that. So, as I always say, people, I think Arsenal, I would say for certain Arsenal are a bigger club than Manchester City, but they need to be careful. Living in the past is a very dangerous thing to do in football. You know, there's a reason it took Liverpool, 25, 30 years to win the title. Let's go into Xhaka mode, people. I don't want to miss the comments. Good to be back, people. Good to be back with the community. But yeah, like you said, Nottingham Forest, man. I'm a Nottingham boy myself. The growing up, European Cup, Brian Clough. All of a sudden, you know, that's all out the window. Forest ended up in the Championship for 20 years. So, got to be careful. Vinith said, Arsenal are bigger, but we are better. And listen, I know you're a Man City fan, but I agree with that. I do agree with that. You know, 95, 97, 98% of players would go to Manchester City ahead of Arsenal. And that is the stark reality, because Arsenal have probably rested on their laurels for too long, because, you know, when we were title challengers, then it was top 4. We never built on it. We just felt relaxed. You know, it's us, United, then Chelsea turned up. But City have turned up. Now Newcastle, if they stay up, will try and do it. So Arsenal, you know, you can't rest on them laurels for too long. Man said Jason Lee, the streets will never forget. I was actually teammates with him for a little bit, Jason Lee. He was a beast in the air. They used to call him Pineapple Head at Forest. Loz Incredible, big up for the super chat, said, people used to debate Biggie v Tupac as the best of all time. New kids can't even name a song. As time goes on, new history is made. Recency bias, 100%. 100%. And I don't blame people for that, because, you know, like people are saying, it's the what have you done for me lately? You can't tell your missus, well, you know, I took you to the Shard in 2019. She wants to know what you've done in the last few weeks. You know, the Biggie and Tupac, but people will say Drake, Jay-Z, you know, Future, or whoever, these new artists, because these are the ones they're listening to now. A lot of the new kids, they don't know that. So I can understand. And as I said, I don't see as many kids wear Arsenal shirts as I used to. You know, we're still big, but we got to be careful. It don't last forever, like you said, people. No one touches Tupac. Hey, let's not get started with that one. We'll go into a whole other. I am Team Tupac. I can't lie. I'm Tupac FC, but, you know, it is what it is, people. We'll save that. We'll save that for the new channel. You know, we've got things coming up in 2022. We're probably going to have a Twitch channel for gaming and another YouTube channel for general topics as well. So we'll get into that. Don't worry about it. Justice says, please remember my words. It won't be business as usual this Saturday. Listen, I hope you're right. And hopefully an AirPod Albert masterclass. But what I will say, just quickly before we really get into the show today, Manchester City played Brentford last night. Now, Man City have won 10 games in a row. They're the best team in the league at the moment. They're top of the league. You know, that's fine. They are where they're at. But they go to newly promoted Brentford, who are not in a great run of form at the moment. They beat them 1-0. They had 76% possession, so they absolutely dominated the ball. But they only had 3 shots on target. And, Brentford had 2 shots on target. They sat in, made life difficult for them, tried to hit them on the counter-attack. We saw against Leicester. Leicester hit them on the counter-attack. But they obviously conceded 6. I think Arsenal need to have a plan in place of how to hurt Manchester City, but also deny them that space. It isn't easy. But as I said, people, no free hits. Asmodus said, at my country, so many kids wear Man City jerseys now. It makes me worried. It changes, man. We used to sing, you have no history to Chelsea, not no more. And Mark, I'm totally there with you, man. I used to laugh at Chelsea. I can't even lie, people. When Chelsea first started, Abramovich, I was like, Chelsea, you lot are nothing, man. Do you know what I mean? Now, I can't laugh at Chelsea, man. They got stars above their badge. How can we have 20-odd years of Champions League qualification under Wenger and not get 1 star on the badge? These lot came with Abramovich and put 2 stars above the badge. It's all mad, people. That hurts. I cannot believe that Arsenal have... I always say this. The emergency button, that big red button where you press the emergency, I don't know how bad things needed to get before Arsenal had to press that button, because I'm like, Chelsea have won 2 Champions Leagues and Spurs got to the Champions League final a few years ago. Can you imagine if they would have won the Champions League before us? I'm telling you, that should have been a warning for Arsenal that, all right, let me take it back. Manuel, you've reminded me. How can I forget? I should have said this at the start of the show. A certain Danny Welbeck. Oh, that guy Welbs. Thank you. You know what? Danny Welbeck goes down in kind of... I don't know. He goes down in like Arsenal history, not because he's like a legend. He's just like a cult figure, innit? I feel like the fan base really loved Danny Welbeck. I still thought that Danny Welbeck header against Leicester won Arsenal the Premier League. But hey, that's a different thing. He was hugely popular at Arsenal. And Danny Welbeck, 93rd minute equaliser against Chelsea yesterday. It was beautiful. Even the way he celebrated, man. I loved it. You could see it meant a lot to him. People saying Wenger's done it again and all that. Wenger signed him. He ends up at Brighton, scores the equaliser. Do you know what, Keisha? I don't even think Welbeck is. I heard when Welbeck signed for Arsenal, I heard a lot of stories from people that Man United fans were very unhappy with him because there was rumours that he was an Arsenal fan. And so I think United fans were more turning on him, saying, he's not an agent, he's an Arsenal fan who was at United. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But now, Welbs, man, definitely a cult hero. And I enjoyed that moment, man, just to see Chelsea. I think that's 4 draws in their last 5 games, man. Thomas the Tank Engine Tuchel. Not enjoying it as much now, is he? But listen, long way to go. We have to laugh at the other clubs, man. They laugh at us enough. Why not? Garbo said, thank you for the super chat, bro. Old school hip-hop over this new crap any day. Listen, I know you sound really old when you say that, don't you? Because I say that. And I remember when I was younger, my parents used to say, this new school stuff, man, it ain't what... Now I'm saying to my kids, I'm like, this is some mumble rap, all this Future and, all that kind of hip-hop. It's all like that. There ain't no lyrics no more. But then they were saying that to me 15 years ago. They was like, look, all this gangster rap. All they're talking about is shooting people. Biggie, Tupac, Mobb Deep, D-Block, G-Unit 50, all that. So maybe times change, people. Maybe we're just getting older. But yeah, I listen to this new school rap. I think it's garbage. I can't lie. Don't get me wrong. There's the odd rapper, but a lot of it is nonsense. Abdullah said, Mahrez and Sterling were rested. Walker was absent. Walker, Mahrez and Sterling will be starting. I'm ready. And listen, whoever they play, they're going to have a great team at. That's where they're at, innit? Broad said, Arsenal's history in Xhaka mode. Yo, I'm telling you, our history is moving like that. We get the odd FA Cup, but not much more at the moment. Craig said, Curtis, Thomas Tuchel will get sacked before Arteta. I completely agree with that. The first little, wobble he has, Abramovich will say, thanks for that Champions League. Do one, mate. You know what I mean? Where we'll be sticking by Arteta. South London said, Tuchel looking like the fat controller settings, I'm telling you. Tuchel with that defensive football, man. Man said, clip this. You know what I'm talking about, man. That mumble rap, man. You know what time it is. But hey, times change, I suppose. I'm still listening to old school hip hop. Only Snoop and Wu-Tang kept it real. Right, let me get to football before we go way off topic. But you know what I'm talking about, people. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's look ahead to the game. Manchester City. As I said, don't forget, we'll have a preview out tomorrow with Big Steve, and I'll be back to the 2 p.m. show tomorrow. The one I'm doing with Steve is pre-recorded. That'll be out late afternoon. So make sure you join me for that one. The news broke over the last couple of days. Mikel Arteta will miss Arsenal's match against Manchester City on New Year's Day after testing positive for COVID. It's a shame because we're on a good run, and you know, you need him on the touchline, really. You know, he's massively animated. The only thing I would say, and I hope this doesn't come across the wrong way, but you know what I mean by this. I think you'll understand. From a footballing point of view, I wouldn't like a manager that is constantly barking out orders and arms all over the place. I wouldn't like that, because I think when you've had 5 days on the training ground, your point should already be across. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes you have to say a little, do this, drop in position, move the ball quicker, whatever, a little bit of this. But I think the players might actually be more relaxed. Now, I'm not disrespecting Mikel Arteta by saying that, because, you know, he's the manager in a good run of form. I'm sure they enjoy him being there. I just think sometimes by not having all those orders and all those arm signals looking like, you know, you're moving traffic, they might just relax and go, you know what, Airpod Albert's over there. He's not going to say much. He's listening to, you know, Ed Sheeran's Christmas single that's out with Elton John. And and we can just play football and see what happens. So, you know, it'd be interesting, the difference in attitude of the team without Arteta being on the touchline. Because he's massively, you know, he goes crazy on the bench. Garbo said Tuchel with his part train settings, one-dimensional tactics. He's struggling at the moment. He is struggling at the moment. I have to admit, he's under pressure already. So it'll be interesting what happens there. Big up Garbo. Mo said, I agree with you, Curtis, about the Arteta barking orders, but when it comes to younger players, it works. Now, yeah, you do have a point. We do have to add balance there. Sometimes players do need instruction. So I am gonna give you the credit on that. Sometimes, or sometimes when a game's not going well, what would worry me is if we went 1-0 down early. Because all of a sudden, you need the manager maybe to pick you up, to motivate you, to give you instructions. If you've got AirPod Albert there, you know, are you going to get the same level of motivation, you know? Don Arsenal said, Big C, more relaxed means less motivated. It's interesting, isn't it? It could go one of two ways, I suppose, if I'm being fair. On one hand, more relaxed could mean that you perform better because you feel like you're under less pressure. But on the other hand, it could mean you take it for granted and you get slapped by Man City, who are really at it, you know. Roman said, big up, Curtis. I finally catch a live stream. Once I saw AirPod Albert on Arsenal's Facebook, I immediately thought of you making fun of it. Big up, Rose. Big up, Roman Rose. I realise, you know, sometimes doing the streams at different times, it helps people tune in depending on where you are in the world or work and stuff like that. So as I said, going into the new year, we are going to do more content. I will still do my 2 o'clock content, but we're going to do some later in the afternoon / evening streams to make the show and the channel more accessible to people in different time zones, you know. But yeah, like you said, people, man, with the younger players, they may need the instructions more. Prince Teddy said, is this game a free hit? Listen, for me, and I say this all the time, if you're a big boy club, as we call ourselves, the famous Arsenal, there should be no such thing as a free hit. None. In the Premier League, none whatsoever. Because how can Brentford only lose 1-0? You know, Arsenal have more quality than Brentford. We should be able to trouble Manchester City going forward. I think the problem is how we contain them. Rodri will be a big miss. I honestly didn't know Rodri was out. I haven't even checked Man City's team news yet. Although Arnav said he may be back. He has been instrumental for them this season. Mangus said, first match of the new year, the players should get up even without Arteta. Exactly. Do they really need him to get them up for that? But, it's just his instructions. Stand up if you hate Tottenham. There you go. I can't deny it, people. I can't deny it. Martin said we're going to hold Corn. Trust me, I genuinely don't think we're going to get a beatdown. We lost 5-0 to them away from home. I don't think we would have lost that game 5-0 if it wasn't for Xhaka getting sent off. But we're a bit all over the place at the time. Leno was in goal. We weren't quite at it at the time. I think even if City were to beat Arsenal, I think it'll be a much closer affair than that one. But a defeat's a defeat. I want to see Arsenal trouble them and get at least a point. Jeremy said 12 a.m. here in Singapore now, and I waited for this. Big up to Jeremy for tuning in. Sidant said, nah, you're getting a beat down. You relax. You relax. You know what, Sidant? Fair play. I have to give you credit. Watched Leicester the other day, man, with 2 centre midfielders in defence, and they beat Liverpool. They rode their luck, I can't lie. Salah missing penalties, Mane missing one-on-ones. But it just shows you can beat these teams, people, if you set up right. And we have to find a way of beating them. For me, you have to deny them space. They like to get players between the lines. Cut off your Fodens, your Bernardos. They haven't got a striker, but they kind of move from everywhere. But, I thought Brentford did well against them yesterday. Maybe a draw. You offer me a draw right now against City, I'll take it all day long. The midfield area is where I'm concerned 100% because they move so much. Partey and Xhaka, let's be honest, Partey at the moment has not been the most mobile, and Xhaka is not the most mobile either. So Odegaard's going to have to tuck in and make that third midfielder and deny them space. It could be a difficult game. Well, it will be a difficult game. But I think you've got to deny City. You can't concede early against them. Aminai said, as a Liverpool fan, I really want Arsenal to win. Listen, we appreciate all the support we can get, No one is going to remember how, only result. Exactly. Ashton said, do we drop Martinelli for ESR? I don't think we do. I don't think Martinelli's done enough wrong to be dropped. I think it is harsh on ESR because, he scored in the last 3 games. But I would stick with him because Manchester City push their fullback so high. Whether it's Cancelo or Zinchenko or Kyle Walker, I think you need speed to exploit their fullback. So I would actually stick with Martinelli. I would keep him in there. I don't see any reason to drop him. McLovin said Martinelli versus Pep's high line. There you go. And he's a City fan. So I would definitely keep him in. And you bring Smith Rowe on later in the game and see if he can get us a goal if hopefully we're still in and around the mix and we can get a goal. Jashar, apologies, bro. I miss your super chat. Airpod Albert coming like an agent in the Matrix. I'm telling you, everyone's a little bit like... It's added a little dimension to the game that makes it a bit different. How's he going to do? Is he going to help us? Will the players respond to him? I'm sure the manager is still communicating with the team, in different ways. Centurion said, if Grealish don't play, we will pump you. If he does, you get a chance. Is that how much Man City fans are saying Grealish, how he affects their team or not? £100 million player, and, you're basically saying if he plays, it gives us a chance. Hopefully he does play. Martinelli v Kyle Walker would be an interesting one. We need Aubameyang. I mean, listen, let's talk about Aubameyang, actually, because the stories come out about him today. And we are not going to be seeing Aubameyang for the foreseeable future, folks. Any hope that anybody had, if you do want to see Aubameyang, he's certainly not going to be playing for the next 3 or 4 weeks. It's been announced that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has reported for international duty with Gabon ahead of the African Cup of Nations and will miss Arsenal's match against Manchester City on New Year's Day. I mean, it's an interesting one because none of our players that are going to AFCON, they don't have to go yet. Apparently, they don't have to leave for about another 5 days. I suppose Aubameyang's thinking, I'm on this training ground at Arsenal, training by myself. Gabon have already reported for international duty. He's probably just said, let me go early. What's the point me being here? You're not going to involve me. So Arsenal have allowed Aubameyang to go on international duty early. And I would imagine Arsenal and Aubameyang's agent will be spending the next 4 weeks trying to find an escape plan. I just get the impression that they're going to desperately try and get him out in January. It seems as if there's been no resolution between the manager and Aubameyang. He still hasn't said anything. His agent hasn't said anything. And I don't like it. I've said many times I don't like it. And I know people will go, you defend. Listen, I've always said if Aubameyang leaves, he leaves. That's fine. We move on. Go and sign a replacement. He's 32. He turns 33 in the summer. There's nothing wrong with moving on. It happens in football. I just think, are you telling me that a player turning up late, which don't get me wrong, I will not condone, because when you're the captain of a football club, you do have to set the example, particularly to the younger players. I just look at it and think, if you're turning up late, I strip you of the armband, I fine you, I maybe make you train with the under-23s for a few days to wake you up a little bit. But surely you expect him to be reintegrated into the squad and say, listen, you're not the captain. You've lost your place in the team. You've got to fight back to get back in the team. It just seems a little bit heavy-handed for somebody being late. Now, as Yessa's saying here, he's done worse. Now, I've said before, my opinion, I think when they've had a meeting, because I'm sure they would have had a meeting, I think it would have blown up in the meeting. I don't think this is just a case of, Aubameyang's turned up late again, make him train by himself, leave him out, because he's almost being disgraced out of the football club, which I think is sad. Some of you may think he deserves it. Some of you may think he doesn't. And like you said here, Hashman, I like to always refer to the good in a player, what they did. Aubameyang's not the player he was 2 years ago. No doubt about that. He had a bad season last year. He started this season indifferent. I still think it's important to remember, as Hashman says here, 92 goals in 160-odd games, which is a fantastic record. That is better than 1 in 2, which is the benchmark for any striker, and I know people will say he hasn't been the same player since the new contract, but we all wanted him to sign that contract. We celebrated when he signed that deal. And remember, your Sanchez, your Fabregas, your Van Persies, all them guys walked out when we needed them. So I think it's sad the way it's going to end. Similar to Ozil, really. Ozil, there was mayhem when he signed and he kind of, went out the back door as well. So I think, listen, we can all agree that maybe it's time for Aubameyang to move on. I have no problem with that. He's nearly 33. He's been out of form for a year or so. But I just think it's sad the way that he's going. I don't think that's the way we would have liked it to have happened. But it is what it is. I don't think we'll know the true story until he leaves the football club. Let me know your opinions, folks. King said, big up, bro, said, this treatment is wrong. Even Spurs gave Lloris a second chance when he hit the bottle. I mean, listen, we've seen a lot worse things happen. That's all I would say. We've seen a lot worse things happen, and people have been forgiven, which makes me wonder, what else has happened? What else has actually happened? Look at those numbers, and he has been off form. And you know what I mean? That's a year or so out of form and still got those numbers. So it shows what he did in the first 2.5 years. And I know, listen, football is very similar. What have you done for me lately, as we were saying before? Aubameyang is not the Aubameyang from 18 months ago. Whether that's the system, whether he's declined, whether it's a combination of the two. But it's just a shame for him to leave that way. But not many players have left with that round of applause, really. Aaron Ramsey, I remember him getting a massive round of applause when he left. Craig said, Curtis, the streets won't forget. They won't forget, man. They won't forget, It was only 7-8 weeks ago he was doing the Henry knee slide against Spurs, so it's changed very quick. Mark said, definitely more to it than being late, 100%. Alric said, Curtis, when a player reaches 30, that's it. The thing is, I think nowadays, I think players are able to play longer. You look at, your Zlatans, your Ronaldos, players are playing till later in their 30s now. But listen, I think when your game is built on pace, sometimes you decline quicker because pace seems to be one of the first things that goes. Shatanya, thank you for the super chat, said, let's just play our game, press hard, quick passes, and don't lose possession. They're a quality side, one of the greatest managers of all time. I mean, listen, man, I think he's probably the best manager in the world for me, although I do like Klopp as well. And your Contes, although not at Spurs, of course, and Ancelotti's and that, Simeone's quality as well. But, yeah, as you said, you've got to frustrate Man City. You can't let them score quick. CJ, here we go, said, can't have it both ways, Curtis. Can't complain about players of old with the wrong attitude staying at the club for too long. Yeah, it's not the fairy tale ending, but at least the club are being ruthless. And I hear you, but at the same time, you've got to be ruthless, but there has to be a balance, because I think sometimes in football, as crazy as it is, you got to remember footballers have massive egos. And I do agree with you, I do agree with you. Top clubs are ruthless. Let's face it, Ferguson threw a boot in David Beckham's head and then binned him. You know what I mean? You have to be a little bit ruthless. But you've also got to be mindful of the fact that other players see the treatment of players. So if I'm a striker and Arsenal are coming for me, it could make me not want to go to Arsenal, because you could look at it and go, well, you know what? Aubameyang was a bit of a, the fans loved Aubameyang, and look how quick Arteta turned on him. So you've just got to make sure it doesn't put players off, that you're being so ruthless, like people were saying, has the Guendouzi treatment, would that put off Aouar? Because Aouar and Guendouzi apparently are good friends in the French under-21 squad. Would Guendouzi be going, you know what, you don't want to go and play for Arsenal because that Arteta, man, he's difficult. So you know what I mean? Just find that balance. I do agree with you, though. You do need to be ruthless, especially when the attitude is wrong. But also, don't be too harsh. Don't look like you're damaging players' reputation. Big up the legend of Renegade. Laka and Martinelli offer 10 times more than Aubameyang in 2021. He can't even finish tap-ins anymore. Our fan base is too sentimental. Interesting. I mean, one thing I would remind you of, though, just to add a bit of balance to that, Aubameyang has still scored more goals this season than Lacazette. So I think the Lacazette thing, you've still got to hold that down a little bit, man. The fan base really... Listen, with Martinelli, I get it. Massive potential. Lacazette probably walks out at the end of the season on a free. And as much as I like Lacazette as a player, he's a very good link player. Has Lacazette ever truly been the answer for Arsenal as our striker? I don't really think he has. He's a very good option. I'm not sure he's the answer. John Layout, big up, bro. He said, big up, Big C. Birthday was on the 28th of December and we getting old. It was only yesterday I turned 18. But yeah, big up to you for the birthday on the 28th. I didn't actually stream on the 28th, did I? So, but no, hope you still, listen, you celebrate your birthday all week anyway. So keep going, you know what I mean, until the start of next week. Big up to Mr. Danielson himself. Laka needs numbers. Yeah, see, that's always been the problem with Laka. The all-round game is fantastic, but Laka, not necessarily the goal machine that he was in the French league. To be honest, in the French league, he was a bit of a goal machine, 25, 30 goals a season. Hasn't been able to reproduce that in the Premier League, so we'll have to see. We will have to see. There is a story going around in The Athletic today. I always take The Athletic with a pinch of salt, because I was told a long time ago that The Athletic are kind of, how can I put it? They're used by Arsenal in a sense to kind of manipulate the fan base and the PR. They're kind of the mouthpiece of Arsenal in terms of the press. but sometimes they do it to just kind of create hype that isn't really there. But listen, you can't ignore what they're saying, obviously. But there's a big piece in The Athletic today. They're talking about Arsenal and how they're desperately trying to get a striker. And, you know, as Misty says, puppet settings. Big up Mike, who said we can't donate because we're in East Africa. Don't ignore us. Nah, man, listen. I appreciate everyone who tunes in, no matter where you are. Like you said, man, puppet settings. But they've put a piece in here today about strikers and potential January signings. It says any move for a striker in January will likely be dependent on the futures of Alexander Lacazette and Eddie Nketiah, with 4 strikers in the first team squad. Unclogging the pathway for whoever is next to lead the line will be essential. Now that, for me, I mean, let's get it straight here. Let's get this straight. Arteta doesn't want Aubameyang. That's clearly obvious. At the moment, we don't see that situation ever being settled. So there's one of your 4 that, you know, they're going to try and get him out, I would imagine. The second one, Balogun. Balogun needs to go on loan. He's being linked with a loan move to Middlesbrough. There's another one. Lacazette in the summer, I reckon, leaves on a free. But if you want him that much, get the new contract sorted out. And then Eddie Nketiah. Now, you know my thoughts on Eddie Nketiah. He scored a great hat-trick the other day against Sunderland. Eddie Nketiah should have nothing to do with Arsenal's thoughts on buying a new striker. Eddie is not the answer. Right? Eddie is not the answer. Even if Eddie signs a new contract, Eddie should be 3rd, 4th choice striker. Shouldn't be first, shouldn't even be second. No disrespect. We got to look at the levels what we're competing with. I know Manchester City don't play with a striker, but they score goals from everywhere. Liverpool have got Firmino and Origi and 2 wingers that bag goals for fun. You know, Chelsea have got Lukaku, Werner. We have to lift the level. Shahil said Liverpool interested in Saka. I believe that's paper talk, man. Appreciate the super chat though, bro. Eddie lifetime contract, mobile phone contract. That's it. Mo said Eddie is a championship player. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't know when it comes to Eddie. I don't know why Arteta loves him so much. Sean F said, "What's up, Curtis? Just dropping into the stream. Chat real quick, but I'll watch the full stream later on. Big up to you, bro." But as I said, man, the Curtis, what happened to Aubameyang becoming a legend at Arsenal? Hey, that Arteta tax, man, it done him. Turning up late, it's that gold Lambo done it to him. But as I said, this piece goes on to say, as well as needing a goal scorer, Arsenal will be looking for a striker who is equally adept at stretching defences as they are to dropping off and linking play. And of course, being willing to press. I mean, you're basically asking for everything. And there aren't many strikers that can do that. You want a striker that can link. Now, the 3 strikers that they're talking about in this article, as you can see in the picture, people, they've said Dusan Vlahovic, Alexander Isak, and Jonathan David. It's interesting because a few weeks ago, The Athletic was saying we're going for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and now a few weeks later, they're not even mentioning him in the article. They go on to say Fiorentina's Dusan Vlahovic will take a lot of convincing from Arsenal to come to the Emirates. Alexander Isak and Jonathan David have been of longest standing interest. However, any pursuits of that pair may have longer timescales than the next month. So basically what they're saying in this article is they don't think Isak or David can be got in January. Vlahovic apparently is gettable in January as he's rejected a new contract at Fiorentina. But he's not convinced by Arsenal. His agent apparently is saying he needs to be in the Champions League. So it's going to be difficult. It is going to be difficult. I have to admit, I would love Arsenal to sign Vlahovic. I don't think Arsenal can get Vlahovic unless they maybe get Champions League and get him in the summer. That's a long shot right now. Alexander Isak, a lot of you have bigged him up. I have to admit, I've seen him some games and thought, wow, he looks really good. And then other games, I think, because he looks quite lightweight to me, but he looks quite quick. I like the pace, but doesn't look that strong. But a lot of people big him up. I have to admit, this Jonathan David, I've liked the last few times I've watched him. The problem you've got with him, one big season in the French league, is that enough convincing to go and buy him? I don't know. If you had to choose out of these three, I think most of you would probably choose Vlahovic. But if not, who would you choose out of the others? Alexander Isak and Jonathan David. Lautaro Martinez would have been perfect. Ashton, we had a great opportunity to get him in the summer. We sat on our hands and, you know, they ended up losing Lukaku instead. But they were actually, from what we were reading, they were more keen on selling Martinez, and we didn't. You know, we went in all meek and mild with some silly little offer. I think we was talking about 40 million plus Bellerin. Chelsea turn up with 97 million and take the even better striker. Jay Muller said, Curtis, at last I've caught a live show. Great content as usual. Big up yourself. Respect. Big up to you. Vlahovic is the complete striker. I mean, as I said, he's being linked with Juventus, Atletico Madrid. So it'll be very difficult for Arsenal to get him. Black Mamba said Vlahovic scores 33 goals in 2021. That's second results in Serie A history. Yeah, who was the record holder? Was it Higuain at Napoli? Yasin said, I would take Vlahovic, but more realistic is Jonathan David. David was an attacking midfielder before, so can do the lacquer role, but can be clinical. I think he's looked good this season, what I've seen of him. He has looked good. David is a very good option if Vlahovic isn't available. And I believe, you know, these guys are gettable because, you know, Lille are not, they're not a rich club. They are a selling club. And at the moment, I mean, I'm looking at a table. Lille obviously won the French league last year, are currently 8th in the French league, 18 points off PSG. You know, PSG have basically won the title already. Lucas said, I will take Vlahovic. We all would, but it's not that realistic at the moment. Sakayo said, I think David is better. David is both-footed, good finisher, has excellent link play, young too, and he is quick. Apparently, they want 72 million euros for Vlahovic, around 64 million pounds. But we may have to wait till the summer. Roland said, Curtis, did you see Ian Wright's comments on the African Cup of Nations? I would like you to comment on that, please. I do have an agreement with what he's saying, because I think there was an interview where, was it Sebastian Haller was asked, are you, you know, now you've been called up, I think he's playing for Ivory Coast, are you going to the tournament? And he was like, you know, you wouldn't ask a player in Europe if they've been called up, are they going to go? There's two sides to the argument. Some people say that AFCON is disrespected because a lot of managers don't view it with the importance that it deserves. This is a tournament that's been around for a long, long time, so does deserve credit. I think some people look at it as a inconvenience because of the timing of it. You know, I think a lot of clubs would like it to be moved to the summer so it doesn't interrupt the season. But I definitely think it's a disrespected tournament by a lot of managers. I know Klopp was heavily criticised for some comments he said as well. But listen, I do think the fact that, I mean, you imagine you sign players for, you know, let's say, for example, we signed Pepe for 72 million. And we're not going to have him for 4 weeks for a tournament, and we've got to carry on without him. Surely that tournament should be moved to the summer. So I would say it's an inconvenience to the clubs, but I think it's disrespected and it's spoken down upon by a lot of people in the press and managers in that sense. So, yeah, I do agree with what Wrighty is saying there. Desmond, big up for the super chat, said Embolo, Swiss striker, strong with pace, was impressed in the Euros. He looked lethal in the Euros. It was interesting, though, when I checked his stats from last season, not a prolific goal scorer. I mean, this season, even now, 2 goals this season and only 5 last season. So, you know, he's not banging goals in at all, that's for certain. So, yeah, I'm not sure they'll go for him. Euros hype. Zach said, I'm from Algeria, living in England, and I wanted AFCON to be moved to the summer because the reality is you want it to happen at a time when there isn't a lot of other football going off, so we can all just concentrate on it and watch it. But it's going off at a time where club football is still happening, so that's why it's a bit crazy. I know you said somebody just said there about Qatar. I mean, I know Qatar, was that because of the weather? I'm not sure. Is that why AFCON has to be played in the winter? Is it too hot in the summer to play? I don't know. Vincent said, then why is Qatar 2022 in December? I know they obviously said it's too hot there in the summer to do the tournament. But obviously the leagues will stop while the tournament is going on. AGG said, the legend of Curtis is back online. Hey, big up, man. Good to be back, people. Jonathan David is an Arsenal fan. Now, this was interesting as well. Jonathan David, a few days ago, was pictured in a Thierry Henry t-shirt. Now, I know these are little things that people say, don't get too caught up in these things, but I can't help it, people. I can't help it. When I see Jonathan David wearing a Thierry Henry shirt, that tells me you love Arsenal. If Arsenal come for you, if Thierry Henry makes that phone call, you're coming to Arsenal. King said every World Cup is corrupt, not just Qatar. Listen, you know how these things go. There's brown envelopes, man, in a lot of these kind of things. Legend of Renegade said, Big C, do you think we can try Ben White as a DM? Could play Saliba or Tommy next to Gabriel and a new right back like Lamptey. We're going to get into some transfer news shortly. Big up Legend of Renegade. I mean, would Ben White be good enough on the ball in the Premier League? I don't know. I suppose time would tell. Oh, the Gooner. Listen, it's the history, man. You can see the green screen, man. It's history settings. He wore a Thierry Henry t-shirt, so, he must love Arsenal. Jonathan David, 2 first names, cannot be trusted. Oh, dear me. Right, let's move on anyway. Let's get into some transfer news because, January transfer window starts in 2 days, people. We got a lot of transfer activity coming up as well. We're going to be linked with everyone. Probably sign no one, but you never know. But the transfer hype is starting. And a player we're being linked with that me personally, I'm in favour of this one. I would not have any problem with this deal happening. Is this player, Bruno Guimares from Lyon. Now, it's a player that we were linked with prior to him joining Lyon, and he is being linked with a move to Arsenal once again. Now, Guimares has spoken in an interview recently about his ambition of playing in the Premier League. And I think he's a very, very good player. And it's somebody that I would definitely be trying to sign in January, as Arsenal definitely need a centre midfielder. We all know that. Now, Guimares has broken into the Brazil national team. He's got 3 caps. He played 33 times for them last season. He's played 17 times for them this season. He's 24 years of age. For me, he ticks nearly all the boxes. He's good on the ball. He can win the ball back. He's got a nice pass. Doesn't really score goals. That's not his job. Him next to Thomas Partey is the kind of midfield I would be talking about. Now, Lyon are having a bad season in the French league, and it's rumoured that he can leave for £38 million in January. The Lyon chairman is notorious for selling players. He's very difficult to buy from, but if you pay the right money, he will sell. Lyon are 13th in the table at the moment. They're closer to the bottom of the league than the top. They are a massive 22 points behind PSG. They're having an absolute nightmare. And, it's funny, we were being linked with Aouar, and all of a sudden, we're now being linked with Guimares more than Aouar. Definitely better than Granit Xhaka. Would Arsenal be willing to pay £30 million in January? I don't know. What's the money like? How much money is knocking around in this transfer window? But for me, Bruno Guimares, 24, Brazilian international, seems to be getting better each season, would be an absolute no-brainer. But I just don't know whether Arsenal, how much money are they going to have in this upcoming transfer window. Everything I've been kind of reading has been saying that, we're more we're more kind of looking at cheaper deals, and Lyon are not notoriously easy to go and get players from on the cheap. So we'll have to see. But Bruno Guimares, for me, would be a good one. Craig said, Curtis, I've got a feeling we'll get Coutinho. I mean, we'll speak about that shortly. We're being linked with him again. We always seem to get linked with him. Bruno to replace our worst midfielder, Partey. I mean, put him next to him. 30 is an absolute effing steal and cheap. 24 years of age, Brazilian international, 38 million. It's a bargain. Expectation, Guimares. Reality, Coutinho. Wouldn't surprise me. 30 million for Bruno Guimares, bargain. Dan Hudson said, it worries me we might need to sell a Saka to make money, self-sustaining model. I just think Arsenal need to get back in Europe. They need to get money back in. We're losing money. Listen, Saka, I know there was a little link today, Saka to Liverpool. I don't think there's anything in that, to be honest. I wouldn't expect that to be a worry. King said, Big C, you know Edu will sign Ceballos on a loan for 6 months. Listen, it'll probably be a Coutinho, knowing him, you know, Kia Jarapchin and all of that, people. So there's a first bit of news. Bruno Guimares, I think we're all in agreement. Most of us would definitely take Bruno Guimares. The next one, and one that's a little bit of a surprise. Do you know what? A lot of you asking for a Coutinho poll. So let's get a poll up. Why not? Would you take Coutinho on loan until the end of the season? We are going to talk about Coutinho. But I want to know, would you take Philippe Coutinho on loan until the end of the season? Because we are being linked. Now, again, it could be paper talk rubbish. It could be his agent just trying to get him a move. But if it happens, I want to at least say, you know, we spoke about it. Would you take Coutinho on loan? I mean, don't get me wrong. 2 years ago, I'd have taken him. Now, I don't know where you would even play him. Would you take Coutinho on loan? The poll's up, people. The poll is up. Have I spelled his name? Yeah, there we go. Coutinho. Let me know. Get your votes in, people. Would you take Coutinho on loan at Arsenal? Most of you, I can see already, most of you saying he's washed up, and he's on 250 as well, 250 grand a week. It's amazing, because when they signed him, what a player he was. Now, you know, he looks kind of finished. People saying it's another Willian. Although Hashman said Curtis, he's better than Odegaard, so why not? I mean, listen, we'll leave it to the poll, people. Right, let's get the next bit of transfer news on. And this is an interesting one that's kind of come out of nowhere. The story says, a summer swoop for Tariq Lamptey was speculated, but Arteta opted instead to bring in versatile Japanese star Tomiyasu from Bologna. However, it has been claimed that Lamptey is now back on Arsenal's radar, with Bellerin out on loan and Maitland-Niles poised to join Roma. Now, it's coming from Duncan Castles, which, for anybody that follows the media, he is very, very unreliable. So this story could be nonsense. I don't understand, first of all, why Arsenal would go and spend big money on another right-back. Apparently, you know, Brighton want 30+ million for him. You know, surely we can't have two right-backs of that level, you know, and one of them's on the bench. So for me, straight away, I'm calling BS on this one. I don't think Arsenal would be pursuing Lamptey. You know, Lamptey is a good player, but why would Arsenal spend 30 million on a player that potentially is not going to start every week? It would, you know, it's crazy, isn't it? Every Arsenal fan said, go and get Basuma from Brighton. We'd be the only club to go there and spend 50 million on Ben White and then 30 on Lamptey. I'm just talking about the story. I don't expect it to happen. And I do think it's complete nonsense. You know, we've got Tomiyasu. I think where the story is coming from is the fact that now, obviously, Ainsley's being linked with this move to Roma, and there's also stories going around that Callum Chambers could leave as well. So you could have a bit of a need for a right-back, although we have still got Cedric. But I don't see any chance of Arsenal spending £30 million on a right-back. We got Tomiyasu. I think Tomiyasu, as has filled any question marks we've got at right back. So we're not even going to talk about that one too much, to be honest. 1.6k now in the chat. There was 1.5, 1.6. Lick down that like button, people. After a couple of days off, we're back. Let's get 1,000 likes. Subscribe if you haven't already. I know we was chasing 40k by New Year's Day. It's still possible. We need about 540 more. So lick down that like. Maybe the watch along against City. Maybe that'll get us there. You never know. So we move on from that one. Tyreek Lamptey, I don't see that one happening at all. Big up the Chronicles of Aguna, Harry. Hope you're well, bro. Good channel. Always keep up to date with Harry. We've done a couple of collabs actually about a year ago. So yeah, we have to get some work going. Big up Harry and the Chronicles of Aguna. Very good channel. King said, hey, don't we ever buy the player we actually need from Brighton? I mean, we wanted Luis Suarez, we bought Dennis Suarez. We wanted Basuma, we bought Ben White. You know, we're that club, aren't we? But we make it work in our own way, I suppose. But, you know, it's always interesting with Arsenal. Obviously, the situation with Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who is being linked with a move to Roma. Gianluigi said, Roma are currently negotiating the personal terms of the agreement with Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Then they have to find a total agreement with Arsenal. That is from Gianluigi Langari, and it's believed that this deal is a goer. I know I was saying from a bit of a personal point of view that, you know, I wouldn't sell Ainsley Maitland-Niles to Jose Mourinho. I feel like Mourinho trolled us back in the day with Demba Ba when he was at Chelsea, shut down that deal at the last minute. He made small offers and kind of unsettled Granit Xhaka in the summer. It didn't seem like he was serious about signing him. I think Mourinho has played us a little bit in the past, but I suppose Ainsley is so desperate to play football, and I think eventually, you know, he's been denied a move to Wolves, denied a move to Everton. I think eventually you've just got to let him go and play football, and it is out of the Premier League as well. So I think this deal could happen. A loan with an option to buy doesn't excite me. I would have liked to have seen it on a permanent deal. Not that I don't want Ainsley to come back. I just think when I put it into context, Ainsley is a 23-year-old England international. You know, more often than not, English players cost more money. Should we be loaning an England international out with an option to buy when Mourinho could turn around in 6 months and go, I'll take him back, I don't want him? I feel like this should at least be an obligation at a certain level of transfer fee. So we'll have to see, but I think Ainsley's time at Arsenal could be coming to an end. My only worry there is middle and midfield. Elneny and Partey are at AFCON. That only leaves us with Sambi Lokonga and Granit Xhaka, although maybe Odegaard could fill in there for a few games. So interesting. Harry said, thanks, mate. Appreciate that. Catch you soon. Definitely, bro. We'll link up soon. 8 million for Ainsley. Nah. Listen, Ainsley should be at least... I mean, what's Ainsley worth in this market? 15? If he was at a different club, you'd get 20 million for him just because he's an England international. But we'd probably struggle to get 15 million for him, to be honest. Just because he hasn't played for so long. Zach said he's better than Partey and Xhaka right now. Probably about 15 million. We'd be lucky to get 20 for him, I got to be honest. But he should be worth 20 as an England international, even though he's not really in the squad. Set Ainsley free. He's had a tough time, man. I do feel for him. I can't lie. He's had a tough time. And sometimes as a manager, you've got to, you know, step out the way and say, listen, I'm not using him often. You know, he deserves to go and play elsewhere. Rough Driver said, Happy New Year, Curtis, when it comes. Same to you, same to everyone in the community. Hope you're looking forward to 2022. Onwards and upwards, people. And peace and prosperity to all of you. Ainsley needs games. He does. Romana fan said, Curtis, I feel you overrate Partey. He's low quality. Listen, I judge him more off what I've seen in the past. I still don't think he's fully settled at Arsenal. I really don't. I don't think he's completely settled into the Premier League. And I think it's hard to settle into a team when listen, the guy he's playing next to is not the ideal partner for him. He's the best of what we've got. But when you've just been playing next to Saul and Koke and in that Diego Simeone system, and all of a sudden you're in a two-man pivot next to Granit Xhaka in the Prem, it's difficult. But listen, if he doesn't turn it around quickly, there will be question marks of him. Partey and Saul's system play. I mean, Saul's having a bad time here. So maybe that Simeone system makes players look better than they are. So, listen, Partey has to step his game up. That's for certain. There's no denying. He hasn't been a success up to this point. However, I still think there is a good player in there. Think back to Old Trafford when he just, savaged Bruno and Pogba by himself. Let's quickly talk about the Coutinho thing before we start rounding up people. I know I have put a poll out. The story was, Mikel Arteta has approved the pursuit of Coutinho. His agents are travelling to London for further talks with the club. Now, this was being reported by the Daily Mirror. So, I don't know. This to me is probably Kia Jarapchin trying to get his client out of the club. So he starts throwing around transfer rumours in the hope that someone will take the bait and sign him. Don said, Big C, would you consider people calling in to share their opinion in the future? Definitely something we could do. Obviously on the member streams, people come on and talk. But maybe we try and do one where just, anybody watching would do one. So yeah, maybe we get one done. But Philip Coutinho, 29 years of age, 250 grand a week, I think 2.5 years ago, we would have all taken him. We still felt he was a top player. Just hasn't played a lot of football. Where do you play him in that Arsenal system? And who are you, denying by playing him? Does that mean you drop Martinelli, ESR? I'm not sure. It's a tricky one. I don't think Arsenal will go for Coutinho. However, it just wouldn't surprise me because of the Kia Jarapchin thing. But it's not coming from a great source. Curtis, you should do a Discord. Definitely something we can look at. Bakut said I was Mr. Member Street. I'll try and let people know more in advance. We're going to do one on Monday next week after the City game. So look out for that. Penalty spot. Coutinho passed his sell-by date, in my opinion. Who would he replace in the Arsenal squad? A waste. Kia clients, very shady. Definite no on Coutinho. So people, don't look like you want Coutinho. You're not happy with that link. I'm going to end the poll. 68% of you saying no. In fact, it's 68% saying you don't want Coutinho at Arsenal. And 32% of you saying you would take him. Omar said therapy member stream. Well, you know what? We play on Saturday. We'll do a review of the game. Depending on how the game goes, we may have to do it on Sunday. We might not be able to wait. We'll either be celebrating because Airpod Albert's beaten Pep, which would be historic, or even got a draw. So, we got to go the day after. Or if we get beaten or smashed, then obviously Arsenal therapy's back. I just want Arsenal to turn up with a plan. Don't turn up and think because it's Manchester City and they're top of the league, we can't beat them. They're unbeatable. They have dropped points, not many, but Arsenal at home against Manchester City with pretty much a full squad available, we should be going for 3 points. Don't get me wrong. We're not favourites. They're top of the league. They've won 10 in a row. But football doesn't always work like that. Even last night against Brentford made life difficult for them. They gave up possession, but they denied them a lot of space. Arsenal, for me, need to sit back a little bit, deny Man City space, hit them on the break. Do I think we're going to win? Probably not if I was a betting man. The hope, the football fan in me says maybe we can get a draw if we turn up and play well. But we will see. It's the first day of the year, 2022. Do not ruin the new year, people. We don't want to start off the new year in a bad way. We lost 5-0 away from home. Just quickly, one bit of team news that is a little bit of a concern for Arsenal is Arsenal released a training video today and there was no sign of Tomiyasu in the training video. Which is a worry for Arsenal because let's be honest, I'm not trying to see Ben White at right back against, Sterling or someone like that. Or Rob Holding at centre back against Man City. I know they did well against Norwich. but we need the full strength back four. So it'll be interesting whether Tomiyasu returns for that game. So we'll have to see. Hopefully we hear something. There should be a press conference tomorrow. Now, will Arteta do the press conference from home as it's online, or will Airpod Albert do it? I don't know. But the press conference should be out tomorrow. So we should have press conference reaction tomorrow. So we've been on for just over an hour now. I'm going to let you get out of here. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're aiming for 40k by New Year's Day. Don't forget tomorrow, 2 p.m, press conference reaction and a preview. Around 6, 7 p.m. tomorrow night, we'll have a preview out with Big Steve. We're going to record it in the morning. It'll be pre-recorded. That'll be out around 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. So 2 o'clock show, and we will have a 6 p.m. preview tomorrow, and then obviously the watch-along, 12:30 on Saturday. We'll be live from about 11:45. Harry said, push back to tomorrow, the press conference, being told Arteta will do it remotely. There you go. We'll still get the Arteta press conference, people. So, listen, I'm sure he'll have a lot to say. Obviously, Aubameyang has reported for AFCON early. Manchester City and Pep and Airpod Albert taking the game. January transfer window around the corner. So we should have a lot to discuss from the press conference. So big up to every one of you for tuning in. Appreciate your time, effort and energy. 2 p.m. tomorrow, we'll be back with that. 6 p.m. with the preview. Watch along Saturday, 11:45. Enjoy the rest of your day, people. And I will see you all tomorrow. Bless.